The marplot was the mad dog's Spanish admiral, whom they encountered on the second day out, when halfway across the Gulf of Conclaves. The captain of the Royal Mary was not disposed to be intimidated, even when Don Miguel opened fire on him. Observing the Spaniard's plentiful seaboard towering high above the water, and offering him so splendid a mark, the Englishman was moved to scorn. If this Don, who flew the banner of Castile, wanted a fight, the Royal Mary was just the ship to oblige him. It may be that he was justified of his gallant confidence, and that he would that day have put an end to the wild career of Don Miguel de Espinosa, but that a lucky shot from the Mlgrs had got among some powder stored in his forecastle, and blew up half his ship almost before the fight had started. How the powder came there will never now be known, and the gallant captain himself did not survive to inquire into it. Before the men of the Royal Mary had recovered from their consternation, their captain killed and a third of their number destroyed with him, the ship yawning and rocking helplessly in the crippled state, the Spaniards boarded her. In the captain's cabin, under the poop, to which Miss Bishop had been conducted for safety, Lord Julian was seeking to comfort and encourage her, with assurance that all would yet be well, at the very moment when Don Miguel was stepping aboard. Lord Julian himself was none so steady, and his face was undoubtedly pale. Not that he was by any means a coward, but this cooped-up fighting on an unknown element in a thing of wood that might at any moment founder under his feet into the depths of the ocean was disturbing to one who could be brave enough ashore. Fortunately, Miss Bishop did not appear to be in desperate need of the poor comfort he was in case to offer. Certainly she too was pale, and her hazel eyes may have looked a little larger than usual, but she had herself well in hand. Half sitting, half leaning on the captain's table, she preserved her courage sufficiently to seek to calm the octoroon waiting woman, who was grovelling at her feet in a state of terror. And then the cabin door flew open, and Don Miguel himself, tall, sunburned, and aquiline of face, strode in. Lord Julian span round to face him and clapped a hand to his sword. The Spaniard was brisk and to the point. "Don't be a fool," he said in his own tongue, "or you'll come by a fool's end. Your ship is sinking." There were 3 or 4 men in the moorings behind Don Miguel, and Lord Julian realized the position. He released his hilt, and a couple of feet or so of steel slid softly back into the scabbard. But Don Miguel smiled with a flash of white teeth behind his grizzled beard, and held out his hand. "If you please," he said. Lord Julian hesitated. His eyes strayed to Miss Bishop's. "I think you had better," said that composed young lady, whereupon with a shrug his lordship made the required surrender. "Come you, all of you, aboard my ship." Don Miguel invited them, and strode out. They went, of course. For one thing, the Spaniard had force to compel them. For another, a ship which he announced to be sinking offered them little inducement to remain. They stayed no longer than was necessary to enable Miss Bishop to collect some spare articles of dress, and my lord to snatch up his valets. As for the survivors in that ghastly shambles that had been the Royal Mary, they were abandoned by the Spaniards to their own resources. Let them take to the boats, and if those did not suffice them, let them swim or drown. If Lord Julian and Miss Bishop were retained, it was because Don Miguel perceived their obvious value. He received them in his cabin with great urbanity. Urbanely he desired to have the honor of being acquainted with their names. Lord Julian, sick with horror of the spectacle he had just witnessed, commanded himself with a difficulty to supply them. Then haughtily he demanded to know in his turn the name of their aggressor. He was in an exceedingly ill temper. He realized that if he had done nothing positively discreditable in the usual and difficult position into which fate had thrust him, at least he had done nothing credible. This might have mattered less, but that the spectator of his indifferent performance was a lady. He was determined, if possible, to do better now. "I am Don Miguel de Espinosa," he was answered, "Admiral of the navies of the Catholic King." Lord Julian gasped. If Spain made such a hubbub about the depredations of a runagate adventurer like Captain Blood, what could not England answer now? Will you tell me, then, why you behave like a damned pirate? He asked, and added, I hope you realize that there will be consequences, and the strict account to which you shall be brought for this day's work, for the blood you have murderously shed, and for your violence to this lady and to myself. I offer you no violence, said the Admiral, smiling, as only the man who holds the trumps can smile. On the contrary, I have saved your lives. Saved our lives? Lord Julian was momentarily speechless before such callous impudence. And what of the lives you have destroyed in wanton butchery? By God, man, they shall cost you dear. Don Miguel's smile persisted. It is possible. All things are possible. Meantime, it is your own lives that will cost you dear. Colonel Bishop is a rich man, and you, my lord, are no doubt also rich. I will consider and fix your ransom. So you're just the damn murderous pirate I was supposing you, stormed his lordship. And you have the impudence to call yourself the Admiral of the Navies of the Catholic King? We shall see what your Catholic King will have to say to it. The Admiral ceased to smile. He revealed something of the rage that had eaten into his brain. You do not understand, he said. It is that I treat you English dog heretics just as you English heretic dogs have treated Spaniards upon the seas, you robbers and thieves out of hell. I have the honesty to do it in my own name. But you pernificous beasts, you send your Captain Bloods, your Hagthorpes, and your Morgans against us, and disclaim all responsibility for what they do. Like Pilate, you wash your hands. He laughed savagely. Let Spain play the part of Pilate. Let her disclaim responsibility for me when your ambassador at Escorial shall go whining to the Supreme Council of this act of piracy by Don Miguel Espinosa. Captain Blood and the rest are not admirals of the England, cried Lord Julian. Are they not? How do I know? How does Spain know? Are you not liars all, you English heretics? Sir! Lord Julian's voice was harsh and a rasp. His eyes flashed. Instinctively he swung a hand to the place where his sword habitually hung. Then he shrugged and sneered. Of course, he said, it is sorts with all that I have heard of Spanish honor and all that I have seen of yours that I should insult a man who is unarmed and your prisoner. The Admiral's face flamed scarlet. He half raised his hand to strike, and then, restrained perhaps by the very words that had cloaked the retorting insult, he turned on his heel abruptly and went out without answering. End of chapter.